this video we're going to go over why doing less will actually make you more money. Now, that makes no sense, right? Why? How does doing less make you more? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to explain. I have my notes over on the side, so if you see me looking over, it's just so I make sure I hit everything. But doing less actually makes you more money. Successful people focus on less things, and that's why they're able to actually do more. So I'm going to break down the 5 sections in this video. We're going to break down split focus problem. We're going to break down the not to-do list, sacrifice principle, exponential growth, and the 10-year lens. So let's get right into it right away with split focus problem. What is the split focus problem? So everybody only has 10 eggs, right? You have a basket and you have 10 eggs in this. But you have so many things in your life that you're trying to split this between, right? Let's say these are all of your baskets that you're trying to put them in. You have, let's say, like relationship basket. You have games, maybe social media, your business. Now, you only have 10. Everybody only has 10. And these are your focus points of how much focus you actually have and what's on your mind on a day-to-day basis. Now, the problem is that you think that you can grow one thing when only putting in a few eggs. But in reality, you need a large majority of eggs in one basket to actually grow and to actually put focus on it. We're going to get a little bit later into why that is and why having 80% of your focus on something versus 90% will do exponentially better. So the problem is that people try to put maybe like 3 eggs in this basket, maybe like 2 over here. Social media, they put 1, and that leaves about 4 for their business. And they're like, yeah, I'm spending a majority of my time on my business, or a majority of my focus. I'm putting more focus on business than anything else, so it must be doing better. But that's not the case. And sometimes what you actually have to do is you have to be willing to put some stuff on the back burner while you focus greatly, almost entirely more on your business, okay? And with that takes away the 3, the 2, the 1, and you're gonna have to split maybe 1 amongst all of these so that you can actually focus 90% of all of your focus on the business, right? Or on like whatever it is you're actually trying to improve on, right? That's why doing less is always better. So the biggest issue with this is that it's very, very hard to do, all right? And it's very hard to know what to actually focus on, not in the sense that you don't know what actions, right? I'm sure anyone watching this video, you know, like if you want to get jacked, you need to go to the gym, you need to eat healthier, right? It's the fact that actually focusing on that is the hard part. Now that brings us into number 2, which is the not to-do list. So successful people don't have a to-do list, okay? Because to-do list just equal busy work, okay? And you don't want busy work. What you want to do is have a not to-do list. So basically focusing on what you shouldn't do, what you'd avoid doing in order to actually make it. So the only thing left that you can focus on is the thing that you're trying to improve on, okay? So not to-do list is basically to cut activities that don't move you forward. Okay, so any activity that's not moving you forward, cutting it out, okay? So for example, like junk food, right? You have junk food, you have useless friendships. You have video games, that's one of them I had on there. Short form content, let's do it. So all of these things you have to simply just cut out and completely get rid of, because the only thing that they do is hold you back. Now, if you're truly trying to succeed, then you have to be willing to cut things out, not only that you don't want to do, but also that you want to do. And that brings us swiftly into the next step, which is the sacrifice principle. So now we know that we only have 10 eggs, and we have to split these into all of our baskets. But if you really want to improve on something, you need to have over 90% of your eggs in one basket, okay? Which we're going to get into why you have to have over 90% later, and why you have to put some other things on the back burner, okay? And that brings us into the actual thing of sacrifice. So sometimes, yes, we're going to cut out things that we don't want, like junk food, like short form content, like video games is an example that some people do and some people don't. And you have to simply cut those out. But with that, sometimes you're going to have to cut out things that you don't want to cut out, okay? For example, the fun nights, short-term opportunities, right? Maybe even some relationships, truly. In order to become great, you must focus on what you should not be putting attention on and focus on what you do need to be. And the sacrifice principle is very, very easy to understand. It's basically that real success is saying no to things, but not only things that you don't want to do, but also things that you want to do. You must say no to both of these. If they do not, well, ignore that. If they do not actually move you forward, then you must say no to them. And that's the sacrifice principle. So far what we've learned is that you only have 10 eggs that you can put into baskets. You should be focusing on what not to do. For example, short form content, for example, video games, useless relationships, and don't put any eggs in those baskets. They shouldn't even be a thought, and you should completely cut them out. Also, make a list of everything that you're doing, everything in your life, and whatever isn't pushing you towards your goals, then you have to say no to it if you truly want to become ultra successful, okay? So, with that as well, that means simply waking up in the morning and saying no. Saying no, I will not go on my phone, I will not scroll, right? It means bigger things, like saying no to job opportunities if that's not pushing you in the way that you want to go, even though it might give you some extra cash in the moment. Saying no to things even if you want to do them. Now, the reason is because of something called exponential focus. What is exponential focus? So it basically comes down to the fact that progress is not linear, is actually exponential. So a lot of people think, here, let me do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. A lot of people think that the more effort they put in directly correlates to the results they're getting out of it, right? So if you put in 50% of all of your focus into something, you're going to make it, you're going to get like 50% of it complete, or 50% of it, right? It's kind of hard to explain what exactly you're getting, but 50% of its potential, okay? If you're putting 50% of your effort on something, it's believed that you're going to get 50% of the potential, but that is not the case. Progress is not linear, it is exponential. So if you're putting 50% of your, here, let's do it a little more like this. If you're putting 50% of your focus on something, you might only be getting like a small percent of what you'd actually get. With 50% focus, you might be getting 70%. Here, I actually have a thing. 20% focus, you might only be getting 5% results. With 20%, that's saying you put your eggs in a basket, you left 20% of your eggs for that one basket, right? 2 of the 10 eggs. You might only get 5% of the results. If you put 50% of your focus, 50% of your eggs, so 50% of everything you think about, you might only get 20% results. Your business only might be 20% as good as it actually should be, or it's only growing at 20% of the rate it should be. Now, not until you get up to at least 90% of your focus do you actually see good results. The difference between 80% and 90% is huge. 80% of every single thing you think about being your business, you might only get 60% of the results. But as soon as you jump to 90, you're going to be seeing exponential results. As soon as you jump to 92, you might be seeing 95% of the results. So the thing is, unless you're having 90% of every thought you're having on what you're trying to grow, 90% of all of your focus of every single day is on the business, it's not going to be where it could be, okay? In a sport, if you don't put 90% of every single thing you think about on that sport, it's not going to be where it could be. Not even close, right? And the difference and the problem with this is that people, oh my Lord, is that people tend to get into the habit of saying, oh, well, I'm doing good enough, right? But they're not. And that's the harsh reality that you need to come to, is that a lot of people think that they're working a lot harder than they are, when in reality, they're simply just not working hard at all, right? If you're putting less than 90% of your effort on what you want to grow, it will not grow at the rate that it could be. That's it. And that brings us to the last thing, which is number 5, the 10-year lens. Okay? What is the 10-year lens? I want you to ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? Simple as that. Now, if it does not matter, don't do it. Simple as that. If you're gonna go on your phone and you're gonna scroll on social media, and that won't have mattered in 10 years, matter in the sense that it improved your life, then don't do it. As simple as that. It is genuinely that simple. Now, it's a very simple idea, but it's very difficult to do. It's something I struggle with. It's something every single person out there struggles with. Nobody's perfect, and nobody has done this 100% their whole life, okay? If no, to it pushing you towards your goals, then cut it. Every decision compounds, okay? Every decision that you're making, if you say no to social media one day, here, these are 2 different people, okay? One person says no to social media. One person says no to something bigger, right? This person is consistently saying no to things. Maybe every single day they say no to 10 things, but this person only says no to 1. Person over here is getting 10 times the return. 10 times. Yes, there's things in your business that you can do in order to make more money, right? There's things in your sport you can do to make more money, things in the gym. But what you can do to guarantee that you do without having to actually add work to the business is to cut out other things, because the only thing that then leaves you is to focus on the thing that you're wanting to get better at, okay? Now, this comes down to good things as well. This comes down to relationships. If you don't see yourself in a relationship in the next 10 years, you shouldn't be having it. That's with friendships. That's with romantic relationships, relationships with your parents, everything. If you don't see yourself doing something in the next 10 years and it pushing you towards your goal, then you should not be doing it. And you should be thinking this long term, in the span of 10 years. Because it takes around 10 years on average to grow something great. Okay, to create something great, it takes around 10 years on average. So with all of that, you now know that you only have 10 baskets, or you only have 10 eggs. And you have a lot of baskets, okay? But whatever basket you want to focus on, you must put 90% of your eggs in there and cut out all the other ones. And you determine this by thinking if that basket will push you towards your goal in the next 10 years. If it won't push you towards your goal, then you shouldn't be doing it. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's games. And the thing too is that this isn't going to be perfect, right? It's a flawless system, but it doesn't have flawless execution. you have to be willing to say no to things for those whole 10 years. And you truly have to make the decision to yourself, is that worth it to you? And if it's not, then you need to make a bigger goal for those 10 years so it is worth it to you. If it's not worth it to you to only be making 10K a month and to sacrifice things now for that, then you're never going to make it to 10K a month. If it's not worth it to sacrifice everything, only work on that one project because you know the goal that you're going for, you're never going to. So set big goals, okay? Huge goals. Goals that would take 10 years straight of consistent focus to actually make that happen. That's the only way that you're actually going to do it. So, doing less and cutting out noise plus sacrifice and long-term vision equals, I need to look over to see what I wrote. Exponential wealth and freedom. If you are able to cut things out from your day so that you're doing less and only able to focus on the business, while also knowing what to sacrifice, knowing what to cut out, and focusing on the long-term vision, you're going to be making more and more and more money faster and faster and faster as time goes on, get more freedom, and then be able to do the things that you truly want to do once you actually succeed and once you get where you're trying to go. But until then, you have to be able to cut things out. It's very, very difficult to do. Everyone can get better at it, but that is what you need to do. I hope this video taught you something, maybe refreshed it in your mind if it didn't teach you anything. And with that being said, later.